there's a lot in the news right now, and we did a press conference on really a mass murder, 6 victims that were out in a very rural area in our high desert. Those 6 victims, during the investigation, we started to get some very strong leads about who the suspects were, and we went after those leads. And normally when you have something this heinous, you probably see me in a news conference, but because our leads were so strong, I held off because I didn't want to do a news conference only to turn around and do another news conference after we got the suspects in custody. So I wanted to keep the integrity of the investigation. A call came into our dispatch, and what it looks like now is that the caller was one of the victims that was shot. He managed to move away from the original shooting scene and get a cell phone call into our dispatch. We were able to locate the coordinates of that cell phone, respond to the call, and that's where we found the crime scene. There was a vehicle there. There were a number of bodies. Several of those bodies appeared to have been burned. And then originally we thought we were only dealing with 5 bodies. The 6th one was that caller, and because he walked away from where the scene was at, it took us a little bit because we responded at night and then found his body. From the investigation, it looks like there was some type of meetup. Our understanding is it did relate to marijuana. What we found is where these murders occurred, they occurred in an area that's really dotted, if you will, with a number of illegal marijuana grows. And these are larger scale grows. These aren't little 6-plant houses or anything like these. These are large scale, what we would typically call industrial or commercial size grows, but they're illicit. And what I mean by illicit, they're illegal. They're not permitted through the state. They're not permitted under the auspices of Prop 64. And in San Bernardino County, we have 5 of our cities that do the permitting process for those type of grows. This is out in the county area where those grows are not permitted. There's a number of things happening. So on the illegal grows, obviously it's an asset. So you see people protecting their assets. And we've had citizens call in and report to us that they're assaulted or accosted just because they were driving down a dirt road where one of these grows are present. In the recent past, my deputy sheriffs who are just out there on normal patrol at night, not having anything to do with a marijuana grow, have had rounds shot at them and gone through their windshields as a result of getting too close because some of these growers think somebody's coming in to take their property, or a number of things. Like we've had dead bodies dumped at these grows. And then obviously the homicide of the 6 victims that I'm talking about, it's bad enough that we have shootings and things like that occur, but also burning the bodies. And when you really think about that, what's happening there? You can make the immediate assumption that those folks are burning bodies to, cover up evidence or things like that. But also we need to realize that they're sending a message. This is our territory. Probably one group and another group, whether it's sellers and providers, whether it's to providers or illicit marijuana businesses that are really in competition with each other. I mean, there's a number of things in terms of the motive that we're still digging through right now, but it looks to us like there was some type of dispute over marijuana, and then a shooting occurred, and then those victims were in the condition that we found when we responded. I know out not far from this area, we've had wells stand up, water wells, normal community water wells that the citizens feed off of because so much water is being pumped out of the ground. So you have environmental concerns for the citizens. You also have the crime that goes along with it, like I explained earlier, the accosting, the violence that's associated with this, the large amount of traffic going in and out. It springs up illegal water businesses, filling up water trucks from other places and trying to bring this in to support the grow. The other thing where it affects the community, and this is really the larger community, and we can say nationwide, even internationally, when we take down a number of these grows, there's a tremendous amount of human trafficking associated with these grows. We see people that are nationals from South America, from Mexico, from China, that are in these grows, and all they know is they were told to work there. They don't have any other connections to anything, don't know who actually owns the grow or what's going on. They're workers, and they're brought to that location in these remote areas and left there to tend those grows. So there are a lot of things surrounding the illicit cultivation of marijuana here in the state of California. They basically sprung up overnight after Proposition 64, which legalized the use of marijuana in the state of California for recreational use. And the state outlined a plan where these grows would be, they would be legalized, they would be permitted. The consumer themselves would be better protected. But the unintended consequences and what was really in the fine print, and this is what I'm always concerned about, what I believe was disingenuous, because California voters voted on this. But what was buried in the fine print was the part about illicit cultivation being a misdemeanor. So it's a $500 fine. So let's just think about this in terms of regular business. If you can produce 1,000 plants of marijuana for a portion of the cost, not have the taxes to the state, not having the permitting process or everything else, you're going to go that route and circumvent the system. When it's legal and the criminal penalties are small, $500, and even if you have a 2.5 acre grower, you're gonna gross more than $1 million. So a $500 fine, there's no teeth in this criminally. So that's why it expanded. If you were to fly over our deserts right now, I mean, you just see nothing but hoop house after hoop house after hoop house, which are these grows in an area that farming never occurred before. But because they're remote, they think they can fly under the radar. My board of supervisors here, specifically in the 1st district, which is Paul Cook, and the 3rd district, which is our current chair, Don Rao, they've really been very involved in this and have funded the sheriff's department. We talked about Operation Hammer Strike. We went from thousands of grows to San Bernardino County to now hundreds, plus the board of supervisors funded me to have larger marijuana teams. So now I'm able to manage this. I went from thousands now down to hundreds, but it's still problematic, and there's still too much money in the illicit growing. Because think about it, there's a lot of states that it is not legal to grow marijuana, but you can grow it legally in California and ship it out. You know, the legal market, they could supply the legal market here. There are a number of those things. And we have a Bureau of Cannabis Control that generally was designed to watch those things. I just haven't seen a lot of reports come from them about, you know, really what's going on. How many times have we contested the legal consumer product to see if illegal pesticides from these illegal grows are coming into it? You know, reports like that. The tax reports, how much taxes is not being collected in California as a result of all law enforcement agencies, not just mine. I gave the statistics in cash that was seized at these grows just for 2023. In San Bernardino County, it was $10 million. And I know they have a task force with 5 counties, that the governor's task force, and I think the proceeds that they took in was somewhere around the neighborhood of $300,000. But ours is 10 million just in this county alone. And so, you know, really, where's the focus? Where should it be? And really, Proposition 64 is what opened the floodgates for the black market. The simple solution is to make illegal cultivation a felony again. If a citizen who wanted to use marijuana, they could grow 6 plants and take care of what they want to use. Anything beyond something like that, that's illegal and not permitted, should be something that has criminal penalties into it. And then you would see cartels don't want their people going to prison. You remember this same thing happened with methamphetamine back in 1999 and the 2000s. We had cartels over here producing methamphetamine in our deserts and a number of things. We got bigger criminal penalties, precursor penalties for making that stuff, and it went away. It pushed it back down south of the border. If we do the same thing again, we're going to be able to fix the illicit marijuana. And think about it. So we take that $10 million I described to you, and it goes through the proper system through the Bureau of Cannabis Control. They were saying a lot of good things like substance abuse treatment, and all these things were going to happen as a result of the taxes that came in from that. I think if we were able to wrap our hands around illicit cultivation of marijuana, those numbers and taxes would increase exponentially, and maybe some of the good things that were originally told to the voters would actually happen. But the rest of these growers, they need to be addressed. And it's not your mom and pop shops. It's all black market, big business, or the cartel organizations, criminal organizations that are doing this. Or you certainly wouldn't see murders like we saw in the press conference that I just did. And not long ago in Riverside County, it was 7 victims, the same thing, but of Chinese descent. You know, a lot of these issues get couched in, well, hey, we changed it because it disproportionately affects minorities. Look at these murders. The people who are dying are minorities. And I certainly don't hear that being talked about. The one thing I'd like to see is that our legislators, I would prefer it to be a bipartisan effort, Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but make the change to illicit marijuana so we can address these larger scale grows. And then I think you'll see them go away in the state of California. They're always going to be there because we had them before this, but not on the scale that we see right now. You didn't see it in our deserts. You generally saw it in kind of a surreptitious manner in our mountains, in our forests. We've always had things called the CAMP program, where we work with the U.S. Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management to take those type of grows out. But it certainly has proliferated everywhere in this state as a result of Proposition 64.
If you haven't checked out CaliforniaInsider.com, we highly recommend you do that now, because we're going to have a lot of news and videos there. And on top of what we have there right now, we are building a really big platform to cover what's happening in California, so you can be informed. We're going to have more shows, more videos from all aspects of life in California. Go to CaliforniaInsider.com and we'll see you there.